You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Podcast. We want to wish you a happy Friday. It's a beautiful day here in California. And we got some good stuff. We're going to rock and roll. Topic of the day, the NFL Rooney Rule will work if you work it. And that's going to be a tribute to Mr. Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we want to know that as the Raider organization is going to take stance, Antonio Pierce is going to take that lead, and he's going to clean things up over there. And salute to the Oakland Raiders for the Rooney Rule, understanding, promoting an African-American head coach and an African-American general manager to lead the organization. And they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done. So I say this to say, Mark Davis, we salute you. And one thing I know for sure is this team's going to head back and it's going to get there quickly. But what I got a treat for you today, the NFL Rooney Rule, and Mike Tomlin, who has been the staple in the Pittsburgh organization. I mean, just a flat-out coach, get it done. Any of those players that played for Mike give it to you straight. And if they don't have the money or they don't feel they need to pay you, Mike Tomlin just cuts to the chase, says, put it on film, somebody will pay for it. So, Mike, we salute you. Great ball game, great win. But we're going to get into the Rooney Rule, and we got one thing. We've been listening to you. We understand the Chicago Bears hat doesn't fit. And obviously my daughter goes to Shaw University, and the Shaw Bears tried to get away with it, but it's officially retired. But we're going to get right into the show, and we're going to show you something here. I want you to listen to Mike Tomlin. Understand what Mike Tomlin is saying. Understand how Mike Tomlin does it. And coach is a good one. Jimmy Johnson used to do this. Jimmy used to always have a team meeting at a post-game press conference. And if you listen to Mike Tomlin, Mike is going to have a team meeting in a post-game press conference after a loss to the Rams. And this is when you get a body of the understanding of work that Mike Tomlin has done in that organization, how his hands and touching everything, he understands every pulse of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's quite fascinating, I'll tell you, because I've listened to a lot of coaches in press conferences, and I always can tell you who's going to win these games because I know what the trainer does. And if the trainer is going to lead the horse and he's going to win the Kentucky Derby, that's got to be a damn good trainer. And he's got to make sure the horse is ready to run. Well, in the NFL, the head coach and the D coordinator, offense coordinator, the trainers, they got to make sure that those guys are ready to run come game day. And I want you to listen to Mike Tomlin, how he says it, how he displays it, how he addresses the media, okay, pre-addresses the media. And I had an opportunity to, if Oakland played Pittsburgh, and those of you who have been in the Oakland Coliseum, in the press room, it's tiny. So I'm sitting there 3 feet from Mike Tomlin, and he just blew my hair back because literally he'll tell you all your questions, and then you got to search for other questions. So take a listen. This is why the Rooney Rule works, and we've got a staple that proves it. The Raiders just hired 2 others, and the organizations who are not succeeding, we got to figure this out because coaches are getting paid when they're doing things or conduct detrimental to the team. You can't go into an organization, destroy it, and then expect to get paid. So if you can void a player's contract for conduct detrimental, that head coach should also be voided. He shouldn't be paid for bad behavior, okay? And these NFL coaches, and this will help the Rooney Rule, because I think the owners understand the NFL is the pinnacle of sports, but it also has a business model. Coaches should be paid on performance base, and if you go win, you get paid more. If you lose, you take a pay cut, because that's how it works. Take a listen, folks. This is really good.
It was just great to see some Steeler alumni, man, and have their support, man. Troy, James Ferrier, Joe Hayden. Just warms my heart to see those guys, man. Thankful for their support and attendance. In regards to the game, man, it's a fight. It always is a fight. Sometimes it's, man versus himself. Sometimes it's man versus opponent. I thought we shot ourselves in the foot some on possession down play on both sides of the ball. You got to be more successful on possession downs if you want more fluidity in the engineering of victory. And there wasn't enough fluidity probably through the first 2.5 quarters really on either side. I think on defense we lost 2 3rd and 11s in the first half. And whether or not it produces points, there's a field position component and a time of possession component of it. And so that's why it was uneven and uncomfortable at times from our perspective. But I appreciate the fight that the guys display. They got a don't blink mentality. Obviously, we got to clean up some things from a management of our emotions, but I would much rather say whoa than sickle. We got some guys that are competitors. They just got to compete in the appropriate and mature and professional way. We use it as a learning experience. It's good to learn while sitting at 4-2 as opposed to 3-3. Cole Holcomb had an ankle injury, but he was able to return. We got some other bumps and bruises associated with play. But I just love the fight in this group. They don't blink, man. They cut their eyelids off, man. They go at it. And it is, like I told them, it's not a compliment. It's required. I'm just acknowledging it. We better be prepared to fight every time we step into a stadium, man, because
you better be prepared every time you step into a stadium. It's not the fact that I'm complimenting you. It's the fact that that's a totality and requirement. That's what you're required to do every day, is to come in here and do your job. Okay, and so what Mike is saying with the players, and this is where I go to Raider Nation and you'll understand, appreciating the former players of the Pittsburgh Steelers, understanding once a Steeler, always a Steeler, and those guys coming back and being on the sideline. That's the return what you're going to see with the Raiders. And this is where the Rooney Rule will work if you work it, because Mike's going to break this down, and he hasn't even taken a question. He's cleared the answers of why he lost. He's cleared the medical report. So the reporters don't have to ask the question, what's going on here? He's clearing everything. And when the reporters get out of line, he addresses it. If it's not a valid question, he ignores it. But he acknowledges you asked it. Take a listen.
Football league is about. So I'll pause and open up for questions.
What changed for Kenny in the second half?
I don't know that anything changed. I just think that, they were possessing the ball and we weren't. I think, as I outlined, we didn't win enough early third downs. They were winning too many, and even like 3rd and long. 3rd and 11, I think they converted 2 of them in the first half. I thought that one that they converted, I think it was 3rd and 4. They hit somebody on a shallow cross that produced a 2-minute touchdown drive. We had a chance to get off the field right there. When you're not getting off the field, you can talk about uneven performances of individuals and units and so forth. Any of those questions can be directed toward our inability to operate on possession downs on both sides of the ball through the first probably 2.5 quarters.
When you mentioned managing emotions, what's your message to guys to walk away?
Grow. Learn and grow.
Or does that have to be addressed during the week?
In totality. I'm talking about as we move forward. There's nothing that we can do about what transpired today, man. That takes in the can. But we can learn.
There's nothing we can do with what's happened. And that's where I'm at. When you look at this from a football perspective and you're being that leader of men, and he says, what do you got to do with emotions? They need to grow. They need to grow up. They need to grow up and be men and go out here and actually play this game. And every time you step on the field, you need to fight. Okay? And if you're emotional, then you can't help the team. He's letting everybody know nobody's bigger than the team. But he's actually addressing it. We didn't get off the field in 3rd down conversions. Those players know who had that coverage in the 3rd down conversion. So they know who he's pointing out. He's not calling any names. He's not doing anything because he has respect for these guys as men. He's not going to call out any of his coaches. Okay, all that will happen behind. But one thing we don't do is come out and address our issues. And that's my job. And then if the reporters want to know, ask me, and I'll tell you. And he'll cut it right away. Take a listen, folks. Remember, he's having a team meeting after the loss to the Rams, Week 7, post-game press conference.
This is a quick professional, and it's reasonable to expect that to happen.
Joey done lost snaps. How do you think he went?
Looked like he stood up like a big dog, but we expect him to. That's why we're excited about getting him where we got him in the draft.
What's your impression of the development compared to last season?
It's reasonable to expect a second-year player to be better. He works at it. He's got talent. And he's getting more familiar with his responsibilities. And so I think it's just a natural process in terms of growth.
Mike, you talked about 2.5 quarters. You guys weren't all the way there. But I guess a timeline for like someone TJ Watt got the pick. Right there. That's when things really seemed to push you away. What about the way he made that play? It really kind of spun things up.
If you watch us play, man, that's what always happens, man. TJ is an A player. He's capable of inspiring his teammates. He's capable of making game-turning plays. I don't think any of us that work with him are surprised by that.
What did having Deontay out there today, how did that help the offense especially?
They couldn't lock in on 14. They got to play straight up, and it was evident.
Did TJ drop it all in the first half? Was it the first time he dropped?
Yeah, TJ drops fluidly. We're a hybrid group. I don't remember specifically if he was in or if, you know what I mean, but that's a fluid thing for us. We drop those guys all the time, man. That's why we're a 3-4 group. The versatility of it.
They were flipping sides a little bit more than we've seen before.
They were allocating a lot of attention toward TJ's normal home position, and I just hate those guys minimizing a significant player. So we got that going a little bit.
You had Herbert in there a little bit more than normal. What went into that?
We were playing more snaps because we were losing third downs. And so when there's more snaps, you generally mean you're playing more people in an effort to keep the collective fresh.
And that's what the 49ers are dealing with. You're losing third down conversions. You're playing more snaps, which you're losing the aggressiveness of the defense. So when I hear the people talk about Wilks and you're not getting it done, and obviously the 49ers weren't winning on the ground game. They weren't winning in the third down possessions. So what happens, your defense is going to be on the field longer, which means you have to interchange more players. If you got to interchange more players, you got to go through the depth chart. You got to remember, this is the NFL. This is the pinnacle. Guys run plays on defense. They get hurt. Guys got to come out, and other guys got to come in. When that happens, the interchanging and things don't work as well. Okay, so you don't want lose the time of possession. Obviously, it's script. You get 60, they get 60. But when you play the game, that all changes. Okay, so you have to understand what it means and have a pulse on your team. And as you listen to Mike Tomlin, there isn't a question a reporter can ask that he doesn't have a pulse. And what I'm trying to get here, the Rooney Rule will work. The Rooney Rule will work if you work it. And this is a perfect example. And the Raiders are going to show the second. And I hope these other teams, because we've just been hiring bad coach after bad coach after bad coach. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So let's give everyone an opportunity. Let's move these coaches into performance base. But this is how you run an NFL team. And he's been doing it for 15 solid years, 16, could go 20 if he chooses. Mike Tomlin, one of the best coaches in the NFL.
We won possession downs, and so they had less opportunities. We appreciate the support that we get from Steeler Nation. We do not take it for granted. But at the same time, man, we love to entertain them. They were in the building today, man, and we're thankful for that.
Anyone else?
And when you're having struggles on offense, how important is it when you get it in the red zone, you convert with touchdowns, and how much do you feel like that was a boost going forward after you did it first?
I'm not partaking in that negative narrative that you outlined at the beginning of that question with, man. Red zone execution is significant and important. It's good to run the ball into the end zone. I like the energy that they displayed. When you're playing good people, like Coach McVay and Matt Stafford, man, field goals get you beat, and we understand that.
Did you see how he told the reporter who tried to bring the negative? And this is where Money Mike separates. I reported uncut untruth, okay? I don't push negative if it's not a fact. And Mike Tomlin just demonstrated that. I'm not going to participate in the negative that you're trying to bring into this organization. We are fine. We are not negative. So you can say what you want, but I'm not going to address that question. This is a head coach in the NFL that has full pulse on the team, protects his players, and they will go out and they will play for him. And that is the key, because when guys don't play for you, you're going to lose, and you can't hide it. It's wide open. It's in their eyes. So we'll close and just take one more listen, and we'll wrap this up.
It's nice pop in the second half. How important is it to have that compliment who can help out when maybe Najee's not at his best?
We need them both. We do. And I'm appreciative of their efforts.
All right.
Thanks.
We have TJ.